I'm far from an expert on historical books and authors. I feel like I have some pretty niche areas where I'm decently knowledgeable, and then some pretty huge areas where I know basically nothing. I haven't read Catcher in the Rye, The Great Gatsby, or anything by Jane Austen. I have read of Mice and Men, a couple of H.P. Lovecraft, and Jules Verne is probably my favorite author of all time, but other than that, I'm just simply not the guy to ask about that sort of thing. So therefore, I'm going to start this little introduction to James Joyce by directly reading a couple of excerpts here from famousauthors.org. James Joyce is undoubtedly the most influential writer of the early 20th century. A master of the stream of consciousness technique, Joyce's career-defining work was Ulysses. It has gained a reputation of being amongst the finest novels ever written. Joyce's next famous work was Finnegan's Wake. The first part of that novel was published in 1924, referred to as a work in progress, and the second and final part was published in 1939. So, in summary, basically he was one of the most prominent and influential writers of the last 100 or so years, which is pretty much everything you need to know about his career, at least for the purposes of this video. You're also going to need to know a little bit about his relationship with his wife, Nora Barnacle. So I'm going to summarize that in short. James and Nora met in 1904. At the time, James was 22 years old and Nora was 20. James asked her out, to which Nora agreed. However, when James showed up for that first date, Nora was nowhere to be found. So after the failed date, he wrote her a letter reading, "I may be blind. I looked for a long time at a head of reddish-brown hair and decided it was not yours. I went home quite dejected. I would like to make an appointment, but it might not suit you. I hope you will be kind enough to make one with me, if you have not forgotten me." Now, I haven't been able to find a reason as to why exactly Nora missed that first date, but the letter seemed to have done the trick. Because a few days later they had their actual first date, on which they went to some secluded area. I think it's like a park. And to James' big surprise, Nora, quote, "slipped his hand down his pants and made him a man," end quote. And remember, this is in 1904, so it isn't exactly the norm to just go ahead and give someone a handy on the first date, especially not on the initiative of the woman. So following this admittedly successful first date, the couple soon moved from Dublin to Switzerland, where their relationship continued, and from what anyone could tell, it seemed to truck along pretty well. They seemed to be very affectionate with each other and have a deep love. But in 1909, James went back to Dublin to finish his novel, aptly titled Dublineers. And while he was there and Nora was still in Switzerland, they wrote each other letters, like any couple would have done at the time. So basically what we're going to be doing in this video is that we're going to be reading 3 of these letters. Now, in between all of these letters, Nora got back to James and she answered his letters, but her letters have been lost to time, unfortunately. So we only have James's side and we have to just imagine Nora's replies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to be reading 3 letters, and naturally we're going to start with the first one. 3rd of December, 1909. My darling little convent girl. There is some star too near the earth, for I am still in a fever fit of animal desire. Today I stopped short often in the street, with an exclamation whenever I thought of the letters I wrote you last night and the night before. They must read awful in the cold light of day. Perhaps their coarseness has disgusted you. I know you are a much finer nature than your extraordinary lover, and thought it was you yourself, you hot little girl, who first wrote to me, saying that you were longing to be fucked by me. Yet I suppose the wild filth and obscenity of my reply went beyond all bounds of modesty. When I got your express letter this morning and saw how careful you are of your worthless gem, I felt ashamed of what I had written. Yet now, night, secret sinful night, has come down again on the world, and I am alone again, writing to you, and your letter is again folded before me on the table. Do not ask me to go to bed, dear. Let me write you, dear. As you know, dearest, I never use obscene phrases in speaking. You have never heard me, have you, utter an unfit word before others? When men tell in my presence here filthy and lecherous stories, I hardly smile. Yet you seem to turn me into a beast. It was you yourself, you naughty, shameless girl, who first led the way. It was not I who first touched you long ago down at Ringsend. It was you who slid your hand down inside my trousers and pulled my shirt softly aside and touched my prick with your long, tickling fingers and gradually took it all, fat and stiff as it was, into your hand and frigged me slowly until I came off through your fingers, all the time bending over me and gazing at me out of your quiet, saint-like eyes. It was your lips, too, which first uttered an obscene word. I remember well that night in bed in Pola. Tired of laying under a man one night, you tore off your chemise? Baby? Chemise?
I think chemise.
Chemise, okay. Tired of lying under a man one night, you tore off your chemise violently and began to ride me up and down. Perhaps the horn I had was not big enough for you, for I remember that you bent down to my face and murmured tenderly, "Fuck up, love. Fuck up, love." Nora, dear, I am dying all day to ask you one or two questions. Let me, dear, for I have told you everything I ever did, and so I can ask you in turn. I wonder, will you answer them? When that person whose heart I long to stop with the click of a revolver put his hand or hands under your skirt, did he only tickle you outside, or did he put his finger or fingers up into you? If he did they go far enough to touch that little at the end of your... Did he touch you behind? Was he a long time tickling you, and did you come? Did he ask you to touch him, and did you do so? If you did not touch him, did he come against you, and did you feel it? Another question, Nora. I know I was the first man that blocked you, but did any man ever frig you? Did that boy you were fond of ever do it? Tell me now, Nora. Truth for truth, honesty for honesty. When you were with him in the dark at night, did your fingers never unbutton his trousers and slip inside like mice? Did you ever frig him there? Tell me truly, or anyone else? Did you never feel a man's or a boy's prick in your fingers until you unbuttoned me? If you're not offended, do not be afraid to tell me the truth. Darling, tonight I have such a wild lust for your body that if you were here beside me, and even if you told me with your own lips that half the red-headed louts of Galway had had a fuck at you before me, I would still rush at you with desire. God Almighty, what kind of language is this that I am writing to my proud blue-eyed queen? Will she refuse to answer my coarse, insulting questions? I know I am risking a good deal in writing this way, but if she loves me really, she will feel that I am mad with lust and that I must be told all. Sweetheart, answer me. Even if I learned that you too have sinned, perhaps it would bind me closer to you. In any case, I love you. I have written and said things that my pride would never again allow me to say to any woman. My darling Nora, I am panting with eagerness to get your replies to these filthy letters of mine. I write to you openly because I feel now that I can keep my word with you. Don't be angry, dear Nora, my little wildflower of the hedges. I love your body, long for it, dream of it. Speak to me, dear lips that I have kissed in tears. If this filth I have written insults you, bring me to my senses again with the lash as you have done before. God help me, I love you, Nora, and it seems that this too is part of my love. Forgive me, Jim. And and to be honest, this is mostly just kind of sweet. We get some tastes of his needs, I guess, but most of all, he seems very apologetic, and he wants to like excuse the fact that he's saying these things. But yeah, after this, Nora would get back to him with a reply, which again we don't have. So we have to imagine what Nora replied to this based on what is said in the next letter. So let's get to that. 8th of December, 1909. My sweet little whorish Nora. I did as you told me, you dirty little girl, and pulled myself off twice when I read your letter. I'm delighted to see that you do like being fucked arseways. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. It was the dirtiest fucking I ever gave you, darling. My prick was stuck up in you for hours, fucking in and out under your upturned rump. I felt your fat, sweaty buttocks under my belly and saw your flushed face and mad eyes. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips. And if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties ending in a long gush from your hole. Here we go, we're getting started. It is wonderful to fuck a farting woman when every fuck drives one out of her. I think I would know Nora's fart anywhere. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. I bet he would fucking love that. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. It is a rather girlish noise, not like the wet, windy fart which I imagine fat wives have. It is sudden and dry and dirty, like what a bold girl would let off in fun in a school dormitory at night. I hope Nora will let off no end of her farts in my face, so that I may know their smell also. You say when I go back you will suck me off and you want me to lick your cunt, you little depraved blackguard. I hope you will surprise me sometime when I am asleep, dressed, steal over me with a whore's glow in your slumberous eyes, gently undo button after button in the fly of my trousers, and gently take out your lover's fat Mickey, lap it up in your moist mouth, and suck away at it till it gets fatter and stiffer and comes off in your mouth. Sometime too I shall surprise you asleep, lift up your skirts and open your hot drawers gently, then lie down gently by you and begin to lick lazily around your bush. You will begin to stir uneasily, then I will lick the lips of my darling's c***. You will begin to groan and grunt and sigh and fart with lust in your sleep. Then I will lick up faster and faster like a ravenous dog until your c*** is a mass of slime and your body wriggling wildly. Good night, my little farting Nora, my dirty little fuckbird. Fuck. Good night, my little farting Nora, my dirty little fuckbird. There is one lovely word you have underlined to make me pull myself off better. Write me about that and yourself. Sweetly, dirtier, dirtier. Jim. So yeah, Nora seemed to have encouraged him in between the last letter and this one. And in this one, Jim is or I say Jim, maybe James. He's opening up a bit more about his preferences, and we get a little more insight into how their relationship is, I guess. I don't know, it's just, this is wild to me. I love this kind of stuff. To be able to get an insight into these two people. This is over 110 years ago. This is, it's wild. Again, we have to imagine Nora answering in between this one and the next one, but what exactly she said is anyone's guess. We'll have some context clues, but yeah, let's get to it. The 16th of December, 1909. My sweet darling girl, at last you write to me. You must have given that naughty little of yours a most ferocious frigging to write me such a disjointed letter. I think it's funny that he's like kind of dissing her a little bit, calling her letter disjointed. It is like, yeah, you must have been real horny to be so bad at writing. You must have given that. Someone walked by and now I'm nervous to keep reading this. You must have given that naughty little of yours a most ferocious frigging to write me such a disjointed letter. As for me, darling, I am so played out that you would have to lick me for a good hour before I could get a horn stiff enough to even put into you. To say nothing of blocking you. I have done so much and so often that I am afraid to look to see how that thing I had is after all I have done to myself. Darling, please don't fuck me too much when I go back. Fuck all you can out of me for the first night or so, but make me get myself cured. The fucking must all be done by you, darling, as I am so soft and small now that no girl in Europe except yourself would waste her time trying the job. Fuck me, darling, in as many ways as your lust will suggest. Yeah, gotta wait for someone to walk past here. He really isn't in a hurry. We're getting into a great part here where he tells her of the different ways he wants her to fuck him. Fuck me dressed in your full outdoor costume with your hat and veil on, your face flushed with the cold and wind and rain and your boots muddy, either straddling across my legs when I am sitting in a chair and riding me up and down with the frills of your drawers showing and my sticking up stiff in your or riding me over the back of the sofa. Fuck me naked with your hat and stockings on only, flat on the floor with a crimson flower in your hole behind, riding me like a man with your thighs between mine and your rump very fat. Fuck me in your dressing gown. I hope you have that nice one, with nothing on under it, opening it suddenly and showing me your belly and thighs and back and pulling me on top of you on the kitchen table. Fuck me into you arseways, lying on your face on the bed, your hair flying loose naked but with a lovely scented pair of pink drawers opened shamelessly behind and half slipping down over your peeping bum. Fuck me if you can, squatting in the closet with your clothes on, grunting like a young sow doing her dung, and a big fat dirty snaking thing coming out slowly out of your backside. Fuck me on the stairs in the dark, like a nursery maid fucking her soldier, unbuttoning his trousers gently and slipping her hand into his fly and fiddling with his shirt and feeling it getting wet and then pulling it gently up and fiddling with his two bursting balls and at last pulling out boldly the Mickey she loves to handle and frigging it for him softly, murmuring into his ear dirty words and dirty stories that other girls told her and dirty things she said, and all the time pissing her drawers with pleasure and letting off soft, warm, quiet little farts behind, until her own girlish key is as stiff as his and suddenly sticking him up in her, riding him. Basta, basta per Dio. I have come now, and the foolery is over. Now for your questions. We are not open yet. I sent you some posters. We hope to open on the 20th or 21st. Count 14 days from that and 3.5 days for the voyage, and I am in Trieste. Get ready. Put some warm brown linoleum on the kitchen and hang a pair of red common curtains on the window at night. Get some kind of cheap, common, comfortable armchair for your lazy lover. Do this above all, darling, as I shall not quit the kitchen for a whole week after I arrive, reading, lolling, smoking, and watching you get ready the meals and talking to you. Oh, how supremely happy I shall be. God in heaven, I shall be happy there. I figlioli il fuoco, una buona mangiata, un caffè nero, un Brasil, il piccolo della sera, e Nora mia, Norina, Noretta, Norella, Norocea. I am keeping and shall keep my promise, love. Time, fly on quickly. I want to go back to my love, my life, my star, my little strange-eyed Ireland. 100,000 kisses, darling. Jim. yeah, that's all 3 letters. And I just want to say that despite the fact that I've been goofing on him a little bit in this video, there's really nothing bad or wrong going on in these letters at all. I feel like, on the contrary, I think this comes off as a very healthy relationship for the time, like surprisingly so. Nora, while her letters are absent, seem to be reciprocating James's feelings and fascinations, and James seems very apologetic about the language and the themes in his letters, all up until the point where Nora seems to indicate that she hasn't taken offense to his obscenities. And furthermore, I think most of us wouldn't love if our private messages with our significant others, or if our sexts basically got published. So I think that some sense of respect is warranted for their relationship and them as people. But I guess my point is that while sometimes funny, the core of these letters are beautiful to me. They remind me that even historical figures were actual people, with dreams, hopes, thoughts, inner lives, and, well, needs. After these letters were sent, James and Nora's relationship continued all up until James' death in 1941, and Nora then passed away in 1951, 10 years later, and their relationship lasted until the end, despite the fact that they met, in their 20s. Honestly, I wish all of us to be so lucky to find someone to be our own little wildflower of the hedges, one whose absence make us beg for time to fly on quickly till the time where we can hold them in our arms again. Someone to be our love, our life, our star. A Nora to our James. Our own dirty little fuckbird. Thank you for watching.